In-depth, investigative. This is KXAN News Today.
It was a stormy and windy night in Central Texas, but we are about to warm up. Thanks for joining us. I'm Tom Miller, meteorologist Kristen Curry here as well. A little bit of noise last night
Yes.
with all the wind and a little bit of lightning too.
Absolutely. Had some storms roll through, even a severe storm out in Lee County. That has since cleared. Most of this now east of the area. However, we are starting to see a little bit more backbelt out towards Gillespie County. This will be something to watch. I'm not expecting a very high severe weather threat, but maybe a little bit more rain before everything clears out later this morning. I'll watch it. Fredericksburg, hey, we need the rain, so we won't complain about it, but we do have some visibility issues left behind by a lot of the rain we picked up yesterday and last night. So you're noticing visibility down in Marble Falls, Lago Vista, Georgetown, Dripping Springs, all looking at visibility less than a couple of miles there. At this point, there's no alerts in place, but we'll watch it closely, especially if you know you got hit hard yesterday with that rainfall and everything kind of settled overnight. We are going to be looking at some of that patchy fog that will impact the morning drive. Your temperatures are in the 40s this morning, but guess what? We are on our way to the 70s. It's going to feel so much more comfortable this afternoon. Rain chances will disappear for now as well. But don't get too comfortable. Cold front moves in this evening. More on those impacts coming up in your first warning forecast.
Thank you, Kristen. Today, Texas senators are set to discuss ways to restrict bail for some accused criminals. Comes after Governor Greg Abbott declared bail reform an emergency item this legislative session. And KXAN's Adam Schwager breaks down what these changes would do.
I am making bail reform an emergency item this session.
Bail reform is back on Governor Greg Abbott's agenda and an emergency item for lawmakers.
Our elected judges are directly accountable to their voters.
Senate Bill 9, authored by Senator Joan Huffman, would remove the power of appointed magistrate judges to set bail for defendants who are on parole, who have multiple felony convictions, who are accused of violent felonies, or who have an immigration hold. Instead, an elected judge would have to determine the bail amount. But defense attorney Logan Campbell told me this decision would likely slow down an already slow process.
Criminal justice system is a lot of things. One thing that is not is it is not fast. If those judges are always having to set bond for these cases, it can further delay having a bond set.
The bill's co-sponsor, Mays Middleton, disagrees.
Actually taken a tour of the Harris County Courthouse. It was a work day, and a lot of the district judges, frankly, weren't working. So I don't have any concerns about adding to that because they actually need to show up for work.
The bill would also limit when bond can be reduced or eliminated. The option would no longer be offered for domestic protection order violations, murder charges stemming from fentanyl dealing or producing, making terroristic threats, or unlawful possession of a firearm. Campbell says restricting personal bonds can amplify wealth inequality.
You could have two individuals charged with the same crime who have the same criminal history, but if one individual has the financial means to post bond, then they're able to be released from custody.
However, Middleton says this step is necessary.
Up to 200 people have been murdered by violent felons that are out on these PR bonds. 0 should be the number.
In Austin, Adam Schwager.
Going in depth on this, we just saw a local example of a type of case that could be impacted by bail reform. Austin police arresting 6 people who officers say are connected to a November murder. Police detailed the killing of 20-year-old Xavier Jones yesterday. They say the suspects shot him after forcing their way into his North Austin home to rob him. And investigators say several of those suspects were out on pending charges for violent crimes, including one accused of a second-degree felony.
They had an extensive criminal history. We knew that there was some type of gang association that was very broad, what I'd call more of like a hybrid model. These individuals just really floated around with someone with some type of organized activity.
If the bail reform bill goes into effect, defendants could be detained, or I should say denied, a personal bond in cases like these. Let's go out to Kyle, where the police department is planning to crack down more on commercial vehicles. The department says is going to increase routine safety checks to make sure that your vehicle complies with state laws. KXAN Sarah Alshay explains why they say this work is so important for safety on the road.
The city of Kyle is no stranger to big rig traffic as a spot along the busy I-35 corridor. And with more people moving in, that means more traffic all interacting. And for Kyle Police Department's Commercial Vehicle Enforcement Unit, they need to make sure those hauling cargo are doing it safely.
The maintenance of the vehicle itself, as well as the weight. Anything that is overweight poses a threat to other drivers on the road, as well as damage to the infrastructure itself.
Kyle PD says the unit did 20 inspections so far this year. Those focus on things like whether brakes work properly and if the driver is staying awake and aware.
We definitely want to make sure that people are following those guidelines as far as the hours and the restrictions on driving, because we don't want the drivers out there who are fatigued.
I reported on the founding of the unit back in 2022, speaking with people in the area about their safety concerns.
There was a commercial-looking van that was jammed up against here.
Locals understand the potential danger. Last March, a concrete pump truck crashed into a Hayes Consolidated ISD school bus and left 2 dead and several injured in neighboring Bastrop County. The department says it's crashes like this they want to try and prevent.
That incident alone really encouraged our department to do what they could to enhance that education element to the commercial transportation community, and then also incorporate some more enforcement here in Kyle.
Sarah Alshay, KXAN News.
This Black History Month, KXAN is bringing you a special documentary about a community that once had deep roots in the heart of Austin. The businesses and cultural heritage that was strong for some no longer exists on the scale it used to. We're talking with people who've lived in East Austin their whole lives, and they give us a look back on what was, while we show you what's still there and what the future is expected to hold. Catch our documentary, What Remains, right here on KXAN at 12:30 this Sunday afternoon. There's some new hope for children allergic to peanuts. New study from the National Institute of Health shows they can perhaps overcome milder forms of a peanut allergy. 32 children received 18 months of immunotherapy as part of this study. They then consumed 3 tablespoons of peanut butter, and none had a severe reaction. Between 1% and 2% of children and adults in the U.S. have a peanut allergy. It's according to the American Academy of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology. Parents should not try this strategy until first consulting with a doctor. Also this morning, if you've recently bought any cans of tuna, you may want to throw them away. Several brands of canned tuna are recalling their products due to possible botulism contamination. It is a possibly deadly form of food poisoning. Several stores like H-E-B, Trader Joe's, and Costco, popular ones, had these certain lots of tuna sold under the store's name brand. Lids on the easy open cans may have a manufacturing defect. The affected products have best buy dates in 2027 and 2028. Good morning. It doesn't live, but it can grow. University of Texas researchers are working on a self-replicating material. Self-replicating with possible implications for medicine and beyond. KXAN's Kevin Bosker dives into what exactly this means and its potential impact.
What seems to be science fiction can be soon a reality.
We're making new molecular building blocks, and I often liken it to Legos.
These Legos, designed by researchers, can act and even evolve by itself.
The most overarching goal of the program is to program the building block in a way that can be response to different certain conditions.
And the possible applications? Limitless.
Like in smart windows, right? Can we embed these material in smart windows and they can change the reflections based on the temperature, or hydrogels. So these are gel that really like waters, and they use it for wound dressing, right? You slather these onto wounds, and then these hydrogels will just responding and tell your body to hey, can you put all of your metabolism on here and start healing the wound faster.
The NSF Center for the Creation of Abiotic Replicating Materials and Assemblies, or CARMA, is the organization created to accomplish this. The U.S. National Science Foundation awarded CARMA $1.8 million in its first phase, $750,000 of that coming to UT.
We have 5 years of experimenting, and it's finally coming to a fruition. That's something I'm really proud of.
Kevin Bosker, KXAN News.
Very cool. We'll see what the future holds.
Yeah, no kidding. Weather last night,
yeah,
rowdy, but how nice was it to get all that rain?
I know. We were out in the yard yesterday, had the rain jacket on, dodging the raindrops. It was really nice.
It overperformed, which is a little unusual for us. Usually we're kind of stretching for some of those rainfall totals, but man, yesterday was fantastic. Not quite done yet. Little bit more in the tank with Mother Nature this morning. There's some of these isolated non-severe storms and some spottier showers out towards Gillespie and Blancoat County here. You can see the general movement is towards the east, so it's likely we'll get just a little bit more before we wrap up this rainier pattern we've been in over the last 24 hours. How about the numbers? Well, yesterday in downtown Austin, we picked up over an inch, about 1.25 inches downtown. That did bring up our February total to just about 1/2 inch above normal so far this month. For the year, our deficit dropped to just about tenth of an inch, that is. And I'll tell you what, I mean, Camp Mabry did well. There were some other areas that did phenomenal. Those rainfall totals on our website, KXAN.com, underneath the weather tab. I mean, out of the airport, we picked up over 3 inches of rain. That was our wettest day in over a year. Live look outside from a River City Grill Highland Furniture camera in Marble Falls this morning, showing cloudy skies and temperatures in those mid-40s. Most of us waking up to the 40s and finishing in the 70s. It is going to feel nice this afternoon with just a rain chance to include what's happening outside now. We've got drier skies and more sunshine expected behind this last little bit. So there it goes this morning. By the time we hit lunchtime, already seeing drying skies. By the time we hit the later part of the afternoon, early evening, even some of those clouds will disappear. But those clouds will be back tonight. We are going to see mainly cloudy skies Thursday and Friday. The thing about tonight, though, is there will be a very strong cold front that moves in, dry cold front, and it's going to bring in some very cold temperature. So I'm thinking when it comes to rainfall potential, we maybe get about 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch out of this activity that we've got today. But really our focus quickly turns to the cold weather. Look at what we've got tomorrow morning with the wind chills. I mean, whoa, winter is back with a wind chill in the 20s for most of us tomorrow morning. Now, temperatures are going to be all over the place. We've got 70s today, highs in the 40s tomorrow, 50s Friday, back to the 70s on Saturday before another cold front hits. Our afternoons aren't the only thing swinging. These morning temperatures are also all over the place with 30s tomorrow and again Friday morning. Briefly warming up. Sunday, we get down to 34. Monday, we're likely to see another freeze here in Austin and across Central Texas. So don't plant just yet. We're not quite done with winter. 75 today, low chance of a few spot showers this morning. We'll go with a 10% chance just for a little drizzle tomorrow. And then you'll notice Saturday, some morning drizzle possible as well. Those are 10% chances or less. So rain really cuts off after today, and it's all about these wild temperature swings. Cratering temperatures after this cold front, but just highlighting again, we expect temperatures to be in those low 30s Monday morning. High temperatures getting back to the 60s with another opportunity for rain, it looks like, as we get into Tuesday and Wednesday. So that's a look at your forecast. I want to tell you about this cool story here. So if we can roll that prompter, a teenager in California is developing artificial intelligence to detect early wildfires. Chip Yost looks at how the program is now being utilized in real life.
This is super exciting because I've been working at this for 5 years now, and we've done test after test to make sure everything works well.
Near the 133 and 405 freeway in Irvine, 17-year-old Ryan Honory's early fire detection system is finally getting its first real-world deployment. As he mentioned, it's been years in the making.
And has 3 sensors that detect the 3 main signatures of fire: flame, smoke, and heat.
That's a much younger Ryan talking about what was then a science fair project. That project has since turned into a company called Sensory AI. As we first reported in 2023, Ryan's idea involved putting small smoke detection devices in remote fire-prone areas and connecting them through a mesh network, much like you would use in your home Wi-Fi system. If smoke was detected on one of the devices, a signal would be sent along the network to a cellular device to alert firefighters. AI would also be used to try and determine where the fire might spread.
If you can see by my hair, the geography of this location forms a wind tunnel.
Fast forward to today, and Ryan's system has evolved to include infrared cameras that can also detect fires.
The bottom line for basically the network is we're able to detect an incipient fire, or basically a fire that's less than 1 foot by 1 foot, line of sight from over 1,200 feet, and non-line of sight around 300 feet.
That was Chip Yost reporting for us. All right, well, also this morning, according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, suicide remains a leading cause of death in our country. Adults 75 and older experience some of the highest rates. It's a focus for a growing group in Hays and Caldwell counties. KXAN's Avery Travis explains their mission to make sure that everyone knows the world is better with you in it.
A small group.
How many people are there at the table?
Trying to make a big impact out in their community.
Just knowing that number, knowing that phone line exists.
Meeting inside a Kyle Senior Living facility.
Hearing somebody going through similar struggles is everything.
Jewel Jenkins founded the Hays Caldwell Suicide Prevention Coalition to help people who are struggling. But she says it's especially important for members of the silent generation.
It's something that a lot of people don't think about for this age group.
Recent data shows a rise in suicides among older adults. The CDC tracked an 8% increase among people 65 and older in 2022. At the same time, suicides declined by more than 8% among younger people, ages 10 to 24. According to the National Council on Aging, while older people represent less than 17% of the U.S. population, they represent 22% of the country's suicides. For the coalition's co-founder, Dr. Kenneth Elliott, it's personal. He lost a family member in their mid-80s to suicide.
There's sometimes a sense of thwarted belonging, like not feeling alone, feeling isolated, that they're a burden to their loved ones or a burden to other people. It's always important to ask what's really going on with them and help them feel connected.
At the Philomena, Director Priscilla Duran says they try to help residents think about dreams and goals they've yet to accomplish.
If you have breath in your lungs, there's still a purpose for you.
Because there's so much more than today. There's tomorrow. There's hope.
Avery Travis, KXAN News.
And if you or someone you know is experiencing suicidal thoughts, please reach out. There's help 24 hours a day at the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. You can simply dial or text 988.
This is KXAN Sports, brought to you by Thomas J. Henry.
Longhorns back at Moody last night, taking on number 2 Alabama. Not only number 2, but highest scoring team in college basketball. Texas trying to avoid a 3rd consecutive SEC loss. And early on, Trey Johnson got in a good shooting groove, knocking down the 3. And then at the other side of the floor, tough little fadeaway 2. He had 24. But this Alabama team can score in a hurry. The bucket right there from LeBaron Filan. And then Arthur Kaluma has to come out of the game with a knee injury. Devon Pryor already out, so that bench gets really thin. Julian Larry, the tough hanging jumper, trying to keep the Horns within striking distance. Got it to 7, but then a flurry of threes before the half. Aiden Holloway, Filan again. Alabama hit 17 from beyond the arc. And Longhorns a 23-point loss, highest point total against Texas this season. Texas baseball team headed to Arlington to open the season on Friday. Jim Schlossnagle getting ready to see his team in action when it counts. So far, what he has seen from this team since he took over in late June, he's liked.
First thing they've done is they've established an unbelievable blue-collar work ethic
at an incredibly white-collar school, you know? And what I mean by that is it's Texas. Like, you know, everybody thinks Texas has the most and the grandest of all things in college athletics, which we do have a lot of cool stuff here. But I call it white-collar appearance and a blue-collar approach. And we have this awesome facility on a day like this where we can still go get work in. And like I said a couple days ago, like on a day off, I literally have to take the balls out of the batting cage because these guys want to be here and want to spend time here and want to be in those cages all the time. And so I think those older players have taught those young players this is what it looks like to work at Texas. This is our standard of how we work.
3 games in 3 days. First night, they'll take on Louisville. Saturday night, Ole Miss. That's a non-conference game. And Sunday night, Oklahoma State. Back to you.
Thanks, Roger. Coming up, Austin police talking with KXAN and the chief about overcoming fear in the Hispanic community when it comes to immigration. If you're listening on the KXAN Today podcast, thanks for being with us. Hope you'll join us on air for that story. You can find all our stories on our website, KXAN.com.